Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to today's Wild Rift video. I'm back from my 2-week break. The reason why the uploads have not been as regular as normal over the past 2 weeks, I went away on holiday, spent some time with the family, took a break from Wild Rift as well. Haven't actually touched Wild Rift for 2 weeks, which was kind of surprising for me, and it was kind of nice to just take a break from everything in general. But a pretty big thing happened during my time away that I kind of wanted to talk to you all about and maybe get some of your opinions as well. As always, make sure you leave your comments down below. You can watch this video if you want to. You can listen to it as like a podcast, because I'm just going to be talking a lot of nonsense. Not too sure how long it's going to last for, but there's been a lot of updates around the game, the development team, future updates, what's going to happen, and things like that. So the first post we have on screen is from Meddler, so Andre, who is the head of League Studio for League of Legends, Teamfight Tactics, and Wild Rift. You might have seen that he was actually on the Riot China side of things for the Wild Rift League Asia for the finals, basically announcing the 2v2v2v2 mode that's coming to Wild Rift, but it's in early development, so we're not going to get it anytime soon. But now he's kind of spoken out about the development team, because if you haven't seen, there's a lot of the development team from Los Angeles that has basically moved on or has basically just been dropped by Riot, and Meddler's basically spoken out and said the reasons for that, which, you know, credit to Meddler, you know, for being able to talk out about these things, because it's not easy talking out about, you know, talking out about these things, especially when there's a lot of, you know, heated discussion behind the scenes with like Wild Rift is dying, all the devs are leaving, all this sort of stuff. I'm not going to go into that detail and into too much of that. I'm just going to give you all an update on the direction of what Wild Rift is going in and what we can expect for the future for Wild Rift, because I'm one of these people that I'm worried about the future, but more worried about the longevity of the game. I'm not worried that the game's going to die. I don't think the game is going to die. I'm just worried about how long the game is going to last before people move on to, you know, different and newer games. So basically, Meddler says, hey folks, there's been some chat up recently about the development team for Wild Rift, so I wanted to offer some visibility into how the team's been evolving behind the scenes. Wild Rift is our only mobile exclusive game. As such, we've been seeking out highly experienced mobile developers, because that's not a skill set Riot's historically had, which completely makes sense. You know, I think everyone can say that China is the biggest region for mobile gaming by far. You know, if you not even, you know, about Wild Rift, you can talk about Mobile Legends, PUBG Mobile, Honor of Kings as well. All these games are so huge over in China, and China has the biggest mobile audience out of them all. So again, you can kind of understand the direction and what Riot are trying to do in terms of trying to hire more people from their Shanghai office, or from Shanghai and China in general, especially when you compare it to our experience in PC development. As part of the process, we've identified that our Riot Shanghai office is a great location for new hires for Wild Rift, given how strong the talent market for mobile devs is in Shanghai. Basically what I just said. And I do have a you know, a tab here as well, which basically shows you all the jobs that are available at the moment for Wild Rift. You can see all these jobs are available for Wild Rift. Things like social media strategist, release management, senior brand manager. There's some pretty big titles here. Global community manager, but you can see the office here. All the offices are all in Shanghai, China. So I, for example, can't go for something like senior global community manager, even though I probably wouldn't get it, but it'd be something cool that I would like to do, you know, be a you know, a part of the community and try and help out the community as much as possible, because that's always what I wanted to do for, you know, since day one for Wild Rift. But as you can see, everything is in Shanghai, China. So you can see that this was something that we already knew, though. I already knew this. I just didn't really speak out about it. I didn't tweet about it or anything, but I've known this for quite a long time. I actually always keep an eye out on this just in case anything does pop off that might, you know, interest me in general. But yeah, I've kind of been realizing this for a while now. We're hiring for a number of roles there as a result. That's a gradual and ongoing process. We're at a point now, though, where you'll start seeing some of the new folks pop up in various things, various things like the patch previews. I just hope that the patch previews don't become like all Chinese only. I mean, I don't think it will be. but you can kind of see why I'm going with that. Maybe it might be a case, but yeah, we're probably not going to see, obviously we're not going to be seeing people like Maddie anymore on patch previews, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, and all the people that basically worked, Jared as well, all the people that worked in LA, because they have all moved on now, so we're going to be seeing new people in the patch previews. Development and support for Wild Rift continues to happen from Riot offices around the world. I think they still have a few people from LA. I'm not actually too sure. Some capabilities will move over to Shanghai, where operations and other capabilities will remain where they are today, which is in Los Angeles. We're excited for the capabilities that this will unlock for Wild Rift, but also expect some bumps along the way in the next couple of patches this year and early 2024 as we bring new folks into the team. Please keep the feedback coming on where we're hitting the mark and where we're missing. So basically, I feel like we need to give them time. This is a long transition. I don't think people understand how big of a change it is to basically get rid of everyone on a development team and hire potentially, you know, tens, maybe hundreds of new people for a game that is already ongoing. So that's why, you know, Andre and Meddler is saying, you know, bear with us. You know, I think that, you know, the rest of this year, maybe early 2024, is not going to be maybe as hyped or as good as what we're expecting. But maybe after that, once the new people start to settle in and once they get their ideas across, maybe we'll get something, you know, exciting at the end of 2024, maybe going into 2025. Obviously, I left my reply here whilst I was on holiday, because I read this and I was like, holy moly, what is going on? Like, I was just not expecting Meddler to you know, tweet this at all, to be honest with you. I did a reply, which I'll get into a little bit later on. But a few things I wanted to you know, I wanted to cover is obviously the people that are leaving as well. One of them being Maddie, which I think Maddie was one of the biggest names, I think, in terms of development and how vocal she was. If you don't know, she was the champion lead. She was the one that were bringing out all the champions, coming up with all the ideas for champions and things like that. So she was one of the more vocal ones in the community in terms of not in the community, in terms of the development team, one of the vocal ones on social media, you know, with people like End Step Before, which has obviously moved to PC League, and there's been a few others as well. But you can see there that obviously she's been on maternity leave this whole time as well. So she hasn't, you know, I feel really bad for her, really sorry for her. I mean, I'm not too sure how much notice she was given for this, but she like basically came back from maternity leave and now she's going over to PC League side of things, which I'm happy with. You know, I think that, you know, Maddie will you know, still smash it over in the PC you know, side of things, working on new players and returning players experience, which is something that is quite exciting. But yeah, you can see that, you know, all the replies, all the messages have just been saying, you know, good luck and thank you, Maddie, because I think everyone appreciated Maddie with, you know, how even when she was on maternity leave, she was still replying to people. She was still replying to myself as well about, you know, questions or whatever or anything like that about the new champions that were being released. So yeah, bit sad, a little bit sad. Another one is Earthslug. Earthslug was the skin lead for Wild Rift, and he gives us a little bit of a, I guess you could say, teaser or a little bit of confirmed details as well. You can see here, you can see important red thread, please read, and this goes on for many of the other devs. Loads of other devs have been you know, quote retweeting Meddler's tweet saying, look, I'm leaving, I'm moving on. Not leaving Riot, but just leaving Wild Rift. I moved off Wild Rift to League. I'll be leading the meta games team, like the recent Soul Fighter in-game client and things like that. So again, probably going to smash it over there. Also, there are still some skins my team worked on before my departure coming soon. Yes, Evelyn is still coming this year, so we are still getting an Evelyn skin this year, confirmed by Earthslug himself. So I think Evelyn's been one of the most requested champions, I think, in terms of, you know, getting a new skin, because I think she only has like two or three skins, I think. I mean, there's some that are worse, like Gragas, for example, still only has 2 skins. But I'm quite excited to see if, you know, the Evelyn skin is going to be an exclusive one, or maybe it's a skin for maybe some, you know, a skin for maybe skin has already been released on PC League. I have a few of the skins here. One that actually kind of caught my eye was potentially Coven Evelyn. I remember seeing a teaser or a leak recently. I don't remember who it was from, but I just remember seeing it online it was either on social media or YouTube or something, talking about Coven and talking about Lysandra being released into Wild Rift. Again, this is not confirmed. This is just what I remember seeing from leaks and from teasers and everything like that, from, you know, different people that have been able to get into the database for Wild Rift. But Coven Evelyn is one of the skins. Obviously you have a few other ones. We didn't obviously get Soulfire Evelyn, but PC League did. You got Spirit Blossom, which could potentially you know, come into Wild Rift. Sugar Rush, Blood Moon Evelyn could be another one as well. Then you have some of the other ones, like some of the, you know, solo ones like Safecracker, Tango, and Shadow. So maybe it could be an existing skin that's ready on PC League. Maybe it's going to be a Wild Rift exclusive. We'll have to wait and see. But pretty cool. That's that, you know, confirmed that Evelyn skin is going to come out, which is quite nice. Another person with Jared as well, which Jared is someone that I met actually twice. I met Maddie at Singapore. I met Jared at Singapore. And I also met him when he came over to London as well. And he went into a lot of detail. And there was one detail here which kind of like shocked me in general, because Jared was someone that again was quite vocal, was in the patch previews, and probably did, you know, a lot for the team like everyone else. But you know, it goes into a lot of detail. You can, you know, read it yourself if you really want to. Yeah, it basically goes into more detail, saying that my role was affected by a reduction in force, which basically means that, well, from my understanding from this, is basically you're made redundant in a way, or basically you're not fired for being bad at your job, but the company is taking a different direction, so there's no job there for you, if that makes any sense. Which, like I said, this probably happened to every single development person or every single dev that was in the Los Angeles studio for Wild Rift, which is pretty heartbreaking, to be fair. But, you know, Riot's gonna do their thing. Riot's taking a different direction. Obviously I still support Riot, but I still feel bad for these people that have, you know, worked so hard on the game for so many years already. But like I said, I think most people were basically saying that, you know, reduction was in force. So it's basically like, that's what I'm understanding from this tweet anyway. Like I said, he goes into a lot of detail if you want to read it yourself. But again, he was another person that you know, was quite vocal in the community at the time of, obviously, he was there, and everything like that. So that was just a few people. Obviously there's a lot of other people that left previously. Like I said, N-Stepped, Roguefall I think has also left as well. There's a lot of others that have left, which obviously meant that, you know, in general, when you see all of this happen, when you see that all these devs are leaving and there's nothing from Riot themselves that are saying what's happening behind the scenes, a lot of people are going to get worried. Like when N-Step announced that he was leaving first, everyone was really worried, because N-Step, he was doing streams, he was doing YouTube videos, he was super vocal on you know, social media. Roguefall as well, you know, the same thing, he was super vocal on Reddit. So, you know, when these people are leaving the game, people are going to be worried. People are going to think that, oh, the game's dying and everything like that, because Riot have not come out and said anything themselves. And this is why this is, you know, pretty big news that Meddler has come out and actually, you know, vocally spoke, you know, publicly spoke about the direction of Wild Rift and where they're going with this. Obviously, I did a reply to this as well, and I'm going to go into my reply as well, because I actually got a reply from Meddler himself with some of the details of you know, all of the questions and everything. You can see here how long my post was. So I will go into that a little bit, but I did a reply on his original post. You know, I said in general, it's like, this is all well and good and notice this, but the big problem that most people face at the moment is communication and transparency, which, if you don't know, Meddler actually does a really cool social media post with Bright Moon, and they do this like league update thing, which is like a short 7-minute update. They do this every few months, I think, and basically this just updates PC League of Legends on PC League of Legends players on the game, updates that are coming and things like that. Now, yes, we do have the patch preview, but I think the patch preview is very much scripted. Obviously these are going to be scripted, but they're very much scripted to just talk about new content that's coming out for the game. They don't really talk about the problems of the game, you know, whether that be, you know, ranked at the moment with Wild Rift, the client, which I'll talk about a bit later on, communication, events, you know, things like that. So I think that's a direction that I think I want Wild Rift to go into, and hopefully the Riot Shanghai office maybe does this sort of stuff, but maybe again it's over on the Chinese social media sites like Weibo and everything. But this was something that I said in the replies, which we'll see obviously a little bit later on. But yeah, you might have recognized Meddler because he's in these PC League updates. So I carried on going. Since the departure of the other previous writers, there's been no communication at all about the state of Wild Rift or even what the future holds, brackets outside of China. Yes, I understand that China is the biggest market for Wild Rift, but there are still millions of players in the West trying to understand what the future holds. I think having some sort of updates, brackets outside the patch previews, which are what I just mentioned, about what the plans are and what is in store for the future would be great for everyone. So that's basically what I'm saying. Is like I'm not saying the game is going to die or anything. I think players just want more communication like this, like exactly like what Meddler has done here. More details of this, just so players understand that devs are not just leaving and the team's not being reduced. They're just moving and taking a different direction for the game, which is normal for a game. You know, devs come and go all the time. I don't think there's a game where you're going to be getting the same dev constantly for years and years and years, unless you're someone like Moddog from TFT, which, by the way, he's an absolute legend. It's very rare to have a developer like that stays on a game for a long amount of time. Like I said, developers come and go, they swap all the time. It's a normal thing in gaming, you know, it's normal. So yeah, like I said, I would like them to do this sort of like update sort of thing. I went into a lot more detail as well on this because I posted on the on my actual Twitter itself saying, post my reply to this. It's nice to have some understanding into what's happening behind the scenes, but we already knew that. Maybe I was a little bit too harsh on that. Maybe I already knew that, but maybe not a lot of people knew that. I wanted to know what the future of the game is going to look like and the plans to keep longevity of the game for years to come. That's the one thing that I'm kind of, I would say, worried about, is that the game's been out, what, nearly for 3 years. It's coming up to, I think, the 3rd year anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. So the game's been out for 3 years. I'm not too sure if the game is growing or just staying stable. I'm not too sure how new players are coming in alike, or returning players or anything like that. You know, the only thing that we see behind the scenes at the moment is developers leaving, which is going to put a bad sign for Wild Rift and just in general. So Meddler took time out of his day, you know, fair play to him. He took time out of his day and he actually replied to me, which I respect, and I appreciate him a lot for replying. He said, what's on your mind? He said, what's on your mind in particular in terms of the future of the game? Might or might not be able to share much, but figure it's finding out. We just mapped out 2024's roadmap, which is kind of exciting. So they're kind of already working over 1 year in advance. So they got a roadmap already for 2024 for both PC League and Wild Rift in detail internally. Plus they're talking about stuff for 2025 plus. So that's kind of cool. So I thought I'd go into like crazy depth and just think about the main, I would say, issues and concerns. Now, obviously I didn't mention ranked. I think ranked is just one of them things that just people will just have to get used to. I think that there is a way that rank could be more competitive and could be more enjoyable, but I didn't want to mention that because everyone just mentions ranks. Everyone just boringly just mentions ranks, say how bad it is, etc. But I thought I'd go into more details about other things outside of ranked. Things like the client, for example. I mentioned one of the things that I'm concerned about is the client. And I said, think everyone can tell how much better the Chinese client is compared to the rest of the world. More events, honor system, content create sections, esports, and more. What's the plan to improve the client outside of China? And you can open your client now and compare your client to the Chinese client, because I took a few screenshots from my Chinese account. But look at all you have to do is just look at this screen in general. Look how much more buttons there are. There's more buttons up here. There's 6 events. By the way, this is more than 6 events. This is just 6 events in one tab, which at the moment Wild Rift has 0 events. There's a bunch of more tabs down here. There's loads of stuff to do with honor system, friends, you know, inviting people and getting rewards for inviting friends to the game. There's a bunch of stuff. I'm going to go back here. There's a big massive content creator section where you can click on the champion and see videos from content creators itself. This is something we've been asking for a long time. The Chinese client has it, but unfortunately the global client doesn't either. And look how many events there are. They got events where you can, I guess this is like winning phones and stuff. I'm not too sure if this is actually winning stuff, but all these events here, all these events here, and these are all tabs at the top as well, which if you click on the first tab, there's like 10 events on the first page as well. So so many more events, so many more ways and opportunities, and giving people a reason to come back into the game, which is something that the rest of the world client doesn't have at the moment. All we have is you log in every day and you get rewards and you get the wild pass. That's all we have. The Chinese client still has a wild pass, so you can see, or you can't actually see. Oh no, you can see here the wild pass. This is the wild pass, the rank rewards, the daily rewards. They still have everything that the global client has, but they have so much more. They have like this home screen up here as well, which you can go on to different, I think it's like pro players. There's an esports section. This TV here is an esports section, so you can watch esports from the client. All this stuff that we've been asking for from the global server, they've only added to the PC client. So that was one of the things that I'm mainly concerned about. And he actually, you know, touched on some of it as well, which is quite nice. So touching on some bits I can comment on. I'll go through each section. I'll do what he replies. So differences between China and the rest of the world. Goal is to get a more unified experience. I don't know why I said while. Will take a while to get there. Brackets, next couple of patches, as mentioned, will probably be a bit bumpy at times as we adjust to a different approach. Second patch and onwards of 2024 should show improvement though. So that's pretty good news. I think I'm happy with the response that they want to try and get a more unified experience, whether that be from the client or maybe from gameplay itself. Maybe we get a whole new client. Maybe we get some of the features over from you know, the Chinese client onto the global client, because there's so many things, like I said, from this Chinese client in terms of events. They have like, I think it's like 15 to 20 events in total. Like, if this is on the global client, people are going to come back every single day to try and unlock these rewards. They're going to want to invite their friends to get the rewards. They're going to want to respectfully play and respect players in the game to get more rewards from the honor system. There's so many things that the Chinese client has that the global client doesn't have, which is why the global client and the West in general is so far behind, which I don't know why it's such a big issue, but I think it's something to do with, you know, probably something to do with Tencent. So yeah, that's his reply from that. My second one was about console. I thought I'd cheekily ask about console. If you didn't see, Skin Spotlights actually put up a leak that the console server, the first console server in America, actually went live. Now, I believe that's only for testing. It wasn't actually a live server. But I thought there was, yeah, I thought they'll, you know, I'd shoot my shot and see what he says, if he can say anything. I put there was leaks of the console server were just being turned on. Any update on the progress on when this will be, and if there may be more, if there will be more info, I think it will help the game out a lot. Unfortunately, he didn't reply to that. He just skipped to Champions part. So yeah, didn't get a reply for the console, unluckily, but I gave it a try. Champions. Now, the big thing about Champions is that we got to a stage where we Wild Rift in like the first couple of years was releasing 2 champions a month. Now they're releasing 1 champion a month. But I'm more thinking about what happens when every champion that can be released on Wild Rift gets released on Wild Rift. Now that's maybe a few years down the line. That's probably a long way down the line. But I'm more thinking about afterwards, like what's the plan afterwards? Because yes, we have, you know, people have a reason to come back because there's, you know, 1 new champion every single month. You got a new meta, you got new champions to try out, etc, etc. And that's quite exciting. That will bring players back in general. But I was like, what's going to happen after that? And I said, you know, I understand that the release of champions have been reduced. There was talk about an exclusive champion coming to Wild Rift. Any update on that? Obviously, the exclusive Wild Rift champion, I think, was last year. Was not announced, but it was more leaked than anything. That a Wild Rift exclusive champion was being considered by Riot. And then I also put, when Wild Rift gets to a point where all champions possibly have been released for Wild Rift, what's the plan afterwards? So Meddler said, Wild Rift exclusive brackets, or at least Wild Rift first champions, is something we've talked about a fair bit internally. So maybe it's something they are considering. I think a Wild Rift first or Wild Rift exclusive champion will be huge for the game. Like, it will be absolutely huge for the game, because if it goes from a Wild Rift first or Wild Rift exclusive and then goes into PC League of Legends, I think that will help just Wild Rift in general out a lot, because, you know, people from PC League will maybe want to jump onto Wild Rift before it gets released on PC, and they're going to want to try the champion out and see what the champion's like and see how maybe it will affect things for PC League of Legends, things like that. I think it will just help the game a lot. But he did say that our priority has been on getting people's existing favorites into the game first so far, which is fair enough. You know, I still think there's a lot of champions to go that they can release onto Wild Rift from the existing PC League roster, but I think that releasing a new champion or just a complete new champion or Wild Rift first champion will be pretty cool for Wild Rifts. The more we flesh out the existing roster from LoL PC, though, the more we'll shift thinking towards potentially new Wild Rift champions or simultaneously, I guess I'm supposed to say, shipping new champions with LoL PC and or champion updates. So the one champion that they released at the same time as LoL PC was Akshan. That's the only one they've done so far. That was a Wild Rift and PC League of Legends released at the same time. Actually, I think it came out a day earlier on Wild Rift, if I'm not mistaken. If I remember, like last year, I think it was last year that Akshan came out, maybe a year before that. Not too sure, but that was the first time. But since then, that's not happened. So hopefully that happens more often in the near future. That'll be quite exciting. I mentioned about esports. Everyone knows how passionate I am about esports. I thought I mentioned it. I didn't get a response about esports. I just got a response about the marketing side of things, and I didn't even get a response about communication, which I thought would be something that he would maybe talk about. But yeah. I said about esports, about, you know, should we expect esports in China to be a more regular thing, or is it possible to come back in the West? He didn't reply, probably because that's not his position, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway. I said with marketing, now marketing is a thing that I don't know too much about, but I can talk from experience from a gamer, I guess, myself, in terms of ads and what's popping up on my phone in general. Now, I play Wild Rift a lot. I don't get any Wild Rift ads at all, whether that be on YouTube, whether that be on Twitch, whether that be on Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. But I get so many ads from so many other mobile games on like Instagram, YouTube, and all this other stuff. But I don't understand what I mean. There's obviously some strategies and everything behind it, and probably you'll see Meddler's reply that their priority is on other things. But I feel like if they did marketing for this game at the start, and if they brought more people from the outside in, like new players, for example, I think it would have helped the game quite a lot, because a lot of players, I think, are new players, but also a lot of players are existing players from PC League or existing players from other mobile games in general. Yeah, that's basically what I said. And then Meddler said, Riot generally doesn't invest much in standard advertising approaches for any of our games. Different company strategy, which is fair enough. And while there is no difference in that regard, we'll do a bit around major releases. We're generally going to invest more into other stuff, things like arcade, new games, esports, events, music, etc. So basically what they're saying is they prioritize marketing in more higher demand and higher... But basically ways that Riot are going to get more money. Arcane, esports, LEC, and whatever worlds, their music, which has been popping off, things like that. So instead of focusing on marketing for something like Wild Rift, which is not that big, they're focusing on other stuff instead. But it's just sad in general that they just don't do any more marketing. And I did mention here as well about the communication. I said, as mentioned, the only communication we get from devs is patch previews. I think everyone would love what you are doing on PC League, doing a dev update every so often on plans for the future of Wild Rift outside of just content from patch previews. Devs like Enstead were great for the game since he was so involved and vocal about the game, but with the devs now leaving / being released and moving to China, I'm worried we won't get anything like that anymore. So I think people are just worried that we're not going to get any communication from any devs anymore. All the devs are now moving over to China, which means they're probably all going to use the Chinese social media, which is good for the Chinese players and it's good for the most populated country for Wild Rift. But then what about the rest of us? I feel like the rest of us might be left behind, but I think Meddler has kind of brought me back down a little bit and just thought to myself, let's give it time. I think just as an overall end to this whole discussion, which has lasted 30 minutes, which is about right. I thought I'd talk for 30 minutes. I think as a whole, I think we'll just have to give the game time and just understand that they're taking a different approach. And as Meddler said, it is gonna take time. Like the patches for the rest of this year and the beginning of 2024 are maybe not going to be the best. I hope they're still somewhat updates and I hope they're still, you know, pretty decent and they're pretty hype, but they're not going to be as good as maybe what we're expecting, because we're expecting, you know, new champions, new items, new systems, new rank updates, new events. You know, we're expecting all this stuff, but because they're transitioning and they basically got rid of all their LA office devs and are moving into Riot China, you're going to have so many new people and it's so difficult to get all them new people on the same par as the LA devs. It's like the LA devs are like here, the Riot China people are going to be starting off here, but they think that these Riot China devs are going to bring that game down one step higher that the LA devs couldn't do before, which, hey, it might work, it might not work. I think we have to give them time. I think we have to understand that this is a change that is happening and is going to happen. We can't change it. And I think we just have to, you know, do our best to keep supporting the game. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, for myself, I'll still be around for Wild Rift. I'll still be making content for Wild Rift. I still have trust in the game. I hope the game grows. You know, I hope you still all enjoy my content. I still have my website and everything as well, which I'll obviously be keeping up to date, and hopefully that helps out a lot of other people. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are of all these updates and everything that's happening behind the scenes for Wild Rift. I'd love to know your comments down below. If you did watch the whole of this video, thank you. It was a nice video to come back to because I'd like to do a recap of what's happened over the last 2 weeks. And this is such a big thing that I think everyone needs to know. You know, everyone in the Wild Rift community needs to know. Not everyone has Twitter. You know, that's why I want to post this on YouTube and maybe discuss about this on stream as well over on Twitch. But anyway, appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you all. Again, let me know down in the comments what you think of the updates, and let me know what you think Wild Rift can do to change, or what you think the devs can do to change Wild Rift and try and get it to grow into a bigger and better mobile game. As always, take care of yourselves. Regular content will be coming back out. You'll be seeing regular you know, YouTube videos, regular YouTube shorts over the next coming weeks. So yeah, appreciate you all. Take care of yourselves. Have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one video. Peace.